Good morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time it may be for you. My name is SOLEANNA, and today we're going to be running... Cool, there we go. Sonic the Hedgehog 2006, Silver Story, No Mission Select Glitch, or no MSG. This is effectively, MSG is this glitch that allows you to skip to credits. We're going to play through most of the story, not all, because we can skip a lot of it. I guess with that, I think I'm pretty much ready to go. It's going to be an interesting run, waking up at 5:30 for this, but we'll see how it goes. So yeah, let's begin in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. So, load screen's pretty prevalent in this game. First thing I want to talk about is a glitch called Telefling. So there are two ways to pick up objects as silver. One of them is to lift them from above, which is when you stand on top of it and press RT. That is I just call that lifting. The other is grabbing. So you're not intended to grab something from far away while on top of it. So if you do that, the game tries to push it a set distance forward and away and up from silver. We can abuse that mechanic to allow us to go really fast on objects as they rotate. It's important to note that they rotate as they telefling. So you need to have objects that are spherical tend to be better because they have a nice set distance of rotation. So they just constantly rotate at the same sort of speed. You can telefling off of other objects like signs or boxes, but the window you have is much smaller, and so it's not really used that often. Now we have the second major playstyle in Silver Story, which is Blaze. Blaze, for the time being, is the fastest character in terms of base movement, so we'll be using her to skip certain sections that we normally play as Silver. Next major glitch that we have in the run is something called the Advanced Fire Call. I'll try for it twice, and if we don't get it here, then that's okay. The Advanced Fire Call actually involves something called the Spinning Claw. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, got it. Okay. The Advanced Fire Claw is a trick that essentially abuses the Spinning Claw's two forms. There's an airborne form and a ground-based form. The airborne form lasts longer but doesn't maintain your speed as well, and the ground-based form can maintain the speed even off of a rail. There is a 1-frame window in between, like right after you jump, where you can let go of the Spinning Claw and then jump, and that allows you to get the speed of the ground but the duration of the air. I actually got what was called a false AFC there, but that still works for our purposes of that trick, because all we need is just enough distance to reach there. Notice that I've skipped silver right there. I used that using a frame buffer. So if you hold a button on a previous screen and then let go on the load screen, you will input that exact button the first frame of the next section you load into. And fortunately, Blaze's homing attack, or Fire Claw as it's known, is just activated by pressing X. So I can let go of X and on the loading screen and then skip that automated section. So basically we do this twice actually, and that allows us to then go around the load trigger for silver, and that then means we can finish the stage as Blaze, who is slightly faster. Yeah, there's most of the game in 06 is just load screens, but that actually is pretty neat because that literally means I can just talk to chat in the middle of it. That was very lucky right there. I almost got some bad hits there, because Iblis actually or any bosses have anything you throw at gives invincibility frames to the boss or any enemy for a set amount of time. So you actually want to throw things like not in quick succession, but really well timed, and I got very lucky there. Funny enough though, about that best game franchise, my favorite game franchise is actually Zelda. Zelda's a good franchise. Hard to speedrun most Zelda games, though. That was a really good Iblis, actually, though. So the most important thing regarding these sort of bosses in 06, especially as Silver, you have really two ways of combating enemies. The first is to stun them and then release them and pick them up when vulnerable. That means, effectively, when you... that it's only really used for typical enemies, you can't stun bosses. But that's usually quicker if the enemy has, like, a health bar or something. The other form is just to pick up objects and throw them, which is used in all the bosses, really. So the important thing to mention for that is you throw objects in the order you pick them up. So you need to be able to pick them up in such a way that objects don't destroy one another, or such that you are able to throw them really clearly, because sometimes you can still have them open, and then it's just like, where do I throw? Because it has a sort of lock-on system that's not really apparent, and kind of confusing, because the game is well-designed and all that. Yeah, this is a bit of a slow section. I could do something called a telelaunch here, which is based off a telefling, but that only saves about 3 seconds if you get it first try. We will be doing a fairly recent strat that I basically co-developed. In the next 10 minutes we'll see it, and so we'll actually be using a telelaunch in the hubble to save time, hopefully. But yeah, here we get the first instance of the stun slap move being very wonky. You're not supposed to skip on water like this, but the stun slap move, which is basically the X button, has some really funky properties. Major thing that we can see from it is that it maintains momentum very strangely, and that allows us to do a few different things. This is due to the fact it also recharges the action gauge, so pretty much every action you can do in Silver's story is determined or limited by the action gauge at the bottom right. So it's important that you conserve your gauge at certain points, and this is going to become more apparent in the later stages, I feel. Still, though, it's really important here. So when you walk, you regain your action gauge, but when you hold X, you also regain your action gauge. Darkspine Sonic, DSS, let me know that's because the game basically expects you to have the shock bracelet a move later, and during the shock bracelet you actually regain your meter as you fall. But the game didn't program a check to see that you actually had the shock bracelet, so it just regains your bar anyways if you hold X. Now we do one more telefling here. Ooh, bit of weird telefling, but that's okay.
It seems I'll need to defeat them first.
Whoop. Held X a bit too long there. But yeah, another thing that's useful with the stun slap move is something called the levitation extension, or LE. This also involves the momentum conserving properties that the stun slap move has. Essentially, if you hold X after you finish your hover, like the final frame of the animation, you are able to then conserve the momentum of your hover, your forward momentum. Although it will actually still preserve your downward momentum, which means you fall faster as you do it. But it means that you can regain your bar mid-air, and you can move further forward as you do so. So LEs are pretty important to the early game, and also a trick later called Trial Skip.
The Iblis trigger. A blue hedgehog.
So now I did that same frame buffered input to skip yet another automated section, and we're going to go for a pretty difficult strat here, I think. This is the AFC method on Wave Ocean Blaze. This is a loop launch. This is a 360 exclusive glitch. Just going to try to align myself. Okay, let's try that again.
The Iblis trigger.
Let's try that again. So the loop launch is basically there are homing attack like triggers on this loop, and so what we're trying to do is we're trying to like just surpass them so that the homing attack perpetuates and allows us to fling off of the loop until we hit yet another bit of collision. So if I align myself properly, we can then skip over to this area later in the stage. That would take a bit to get to normally. This is pretty difficult because, unlike Sonic, who also has this trick, you can't like pause buffer it once you get the alignment. I need to actually just time it just right. Okay, I'll take that, sure. That's not where we actually want to be, but oh, I might die. Oh, thank God. That automation often doesn't like to work. So I was a bit worried there. Now, I'm gonna... Gonna go over here and get the checkpoint just to be safe. And I'm gonna go back to this rail and we're gonna do another AFC. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This might be a false one, but we'll see. No, it's real, okay. That's the first time I've gotten it first try, and of course the loop launch goes bad. But yeah, the AFC is really useful because you can just preserve all this momentum. Just gonna go off there. And that allows us to then skip on water and clip through that entire section, just because there's just no such thing as walls in this game.
Complain.
I'm gonna be real here. Before that loop launch, that was actually on world record pace for 80%, which was crazy. Still a very good run so far. But yeah, so that's like the second time we'll see Blaze out of 3 in this story. But it won't really matter that much because Silver becomes the fastest character at the end in terms of just fastest movement with glitches entirely. For now, though, Silver's a bit slow, but that doesn't mean we can't still break things. At this point in the story, we are supposed to do Mission 8, which is a defeat the enemies mission to then unlock the mirror to Dusty Desert. Game didn't program a check to make sure you had to complete Mission 8 to unlock the mirror, so the mirror is actually still what we call active, meaning if you touch it, you warp to the stage that it says it will. So I can take a box and do this sort of clip exploit. So if you have a flat object pressing up against a ceiling, and you're able to lift it above the ceiling, you can clip through the ceiling, and that allows us to just skip all of Mission 8 and just touch the mirror. Active, so there you go. Didn't have to do Mission 8, didn't have to do any of the Hubble movement, just clip right into Dusty Desert. This is still really useful in a lot of locations in the early game for Silver, as we'll see here with Dusty Desert. So normally in Dusty Desert, you're supposed to go through an enemy section, then play pool, ancient pool, billiards, who loves that, and then do a sand room, Amy section, another sand room, another enemy section, and then the final ball puzzle. We're going to use this 3 times to skip most of that. So first things first, I'm going to want to land on this door after doing that clip. Regain my bar, jump, and then hover over here. If you lightly tap the jump button, that allows you to conserve your bar a bit better and get further distance, albeit if you have the distance, if you can cover the distance by just holding hover, that's better, simply because you can do a lot more with it. Silver's fastest movement at this point in time is a continuous hover, so if you can hold that hover for as long as possible, that's actually best. Can't always do that, but... Oop, there's Silver, hi. Did not mean to interact with the clone, but we will be okay. We're a new Silver now, everyone. We're gonna use this box clip yet again to clip through this enemy section and skip this entire sand room coming up. Let's go up here, jump around, and this has collision actually, this little platform, so you can stand on it. Hover, and there's a small seam over here. It's very small. If you're too far to the right, you'll be pushed out of bounds. If you're too far, you'll fall through the floor. If you're too far to the left, the sand, as I have there, the sand floor will interact. So you need to be very careful not to go too, you need to just know where to stand, and currently right now I'm kind of failing that, but... Yeah, this allows us to skip an enemy section, because combat as Silver is pretty slow at the moment. And that allows us just to skip that enemy section and the sand room. And we're on to the final room. Normally you're supposed to do this ball puzzle by like slapping it and then getting it into a final hole without having it explode or go into any other place. But instead of doing all that, we can do yet another sort of variation of the same box clip. This door actually is a bit too high, and the ceiling is still in bounds, so we're actually not going to like lift it as high as we want. We're not doing the same version of the exploit technically. I'm gonna lift it here and then let it push me forward onto the top of the door. Because if you actually got enough height to clip through the top, you'd be pushed back in bounds anyhow. So the most important thing there is that you just align it with the center and let it push you forward. It's a bit different since you don't jump or anything. If you don't get it through, you can then just tap forward and then it'll usually push you through, but that box is super finicky compared to others. Any donations, by the way? So funny, just because casually, Sonic 06 as a speed game, for instance, is really fun. There's a lot you can do. Oh, I'm gonna S rank. Whoops. Okay. Might as well just get this boss done. That's probably gonna S rank. This is really important to mention. Is it? Oh my god, it didn't S rank. Nice. I accidentally got rings, but important thing to mention about Sonic 06 is S ranks versus other ranks. So in Sonic 06 you have these gold medals. These take 5.5 seconds every time they occur. So with certain areas you want to be able to avoid, if you can avoid an S rank in less than 5.5 seconds, then you save time. So for instance there, best time you can ever get on that boss is about 6 seconds flat, but that involves having a lot of those chairs get multiple hits, and a lot of those, and not getting any, and just having almost everything hit when that's not really a guarantee. So it's actually more consistent to get a 13-second time without collecting any rings. And at that point, you're able to get a lot more, you're able to get not an S rank, and have an equivalent time to a 7-second time with an S rank. So it's actually more consistent, and routing like that is, you know, useful. Anyways, I was mentioning a telelaunch that is going to be implemented into the run. This is it. So this is a sign. It says speed 60. We're not going to really abide by whatever speed 60 means. There's no limit, so I'm going to stand on this. I'm going to pick it up. I'm going to then throw it and lift into the air like this. First try. Very nice. That is a telelaunch. So the way the telelaunch works is effectively a teleflame means that you're keeping the object as grabbed. So you can still throw an object while on top of it, and this means that it's perpetually in its grab state, or its thrown state rather. Once it's permanently thrown, you can then lift it up as if you're on top of it normally, and that allows you to get essentially massive vertical height and acceleration for whatever reason. I think it's just because the functions that just maintain height are just really wonky when the object's in its permanently thrown state. Like, the permanently thrown state means you have a higher momentum, just in general. But yeah, that actually saves about 10 seconds off the previous method we were using, and also looks cool as heck, so I'm glad I got it first try. It's oddly consistent, because signs, unlike boxes and such, pretty much only, like, move on 2 planes. So as soon as you get, like, one of them... Oh. That was a good recovery. As soon as you know, like, set up the sign properly, you'll pretty much know where to go. Because effectively you can use, like, the, Whoa, that was close. You can use the back of the sign to basically guide yourself to know where it's going to go. So it roughly goes back, so I just set up, like, picking it up away from it. Or... I don't have Discord muted on stream. Oh, I get it. Sorry. I know what I did wrong. I know what I did wrong. Sorry. I'm so sorry, Anare. I'm really sorry. I messed up and actually didn't switch my desktop audio. I had it set to the speakers, which is not what I'm actually using currently. I'm using my headphones. So let me fix that really quickly. I'm really sorry, everyone, for this. But again, I can still do this mid-run. I love this game for that. So let me fix that as soon as I get a bit of a break. I really apologize once more. That is my fault. I should have checked this. Movement. Okay, let me just switch. Can you speak, Anade?
Sure, hopefully I'm audible now.
Yeah, cool, I think you are. I'm really sorry, that was my fault.
It's fine. Hopefully we can just get a little bit really quickly about we have donations, of course, being accepted at Tiltify.com/@Speedrun, and there is a donation incentive going for best game franchise with Sonic in the last place and Zelda in the
Oh, did you cut off there?
That was easy.
Hello.
Hi, yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, it said Sonic in last place and just sort of cut off on my end.
And Zelda in the lead. Sorry about that.
No worries, you're all good. The brokenness of this game is going into the setup for the stream. That happens often. Very quiet. Let me increase the audio then. Speak again, please. If you could.
Yeah, sorry, I pushed the wrong button.
No worries. This should be a bit better, hopefully, everyone. I love how I can troubleshoot on stream. This game is amazing when you can just troubleshoot mid-stream. Oh, a bit rough. Okay, you can still do it. So this boss is cyclic. Effectively, it's 6 hits per cycle. So the most efficient way to get missiles for this is to get all the missiles you need for the first 2 on the first cycle, and then as the boss throws the remaining, throw the second cycle's worth of missiles, throw the remaining ones you have to finish the second cycle, then pick up the missiles for the third and fourth from that. Turn it up just a little bit more. Hopefully that'll be good for everyone. Oh yeah, we now have the best mission coming up. Did someone say Amy? Because I think we're having some Amy here. The only time you're forced to use Amy in the run. I just love how I can just literally check my phone, put down my controller, type, put down my phone again, then pick up the controller and still have time. Anyways, this is a good point to talk about some version differences in Sonic 06. So there are 2 versions of Sonic 06. There's the 360 version and the PS3 version. As far as we can tell, the 360 version seems to be the main development version because Sega has a habit of using Microsoft for that stuff. And it's just overall better. Compared to PS3. So PS3, the most staggering difference in terms of RTA is the fact that PS3 cannot improve load times. So on 360, you're actually able to download the game to your console, and this saves 5 to 10 seconds per load. This is actually the faster loads that we're currently using because we're using the 360 version. In addition to that, the 360 version has certain glitches that are advantageous for the speedrun that aren't available to be done on PS3, and also the PS3 version is bad. And when I mean bad, I mean bad. The PS3 version is terrible. It has really odd lag, it has a different camera setting, it has the strangest physics ever. For instance, in Sonic's story, I can feel Sonic's homing attack reset height mid-jump. So, like, I jump, homing attack, and then it, like, spawns me a few, like, centimeters below where I'd normally be, and I'm like, this doesn't feel right. This feels weird. Anyways, we're about to see Silver completely broken. You thought it was broken so far, but this is where it gets good. There's eventually like 2 halves. I actually don't use an SSD. The fastest way is actually just to use an internal hard drive. This has been timed by GreenaLink. And yeah, it's surprising that it's actually faster to use an internal hard drive. Or not a hard drive, not internal, but like just a external hard drive. SSD is just a bit slower, but it's both are faster than using the internal like system memory of the 360. Well, click through the thing there. So we're gonna get the Heart of Wind and nothing else. Once we get the Heart of Wind, we now have the teleport dash, but we've also skipped the shock bracelet. So what I was doing earlier in before White Acropolis, I skipped a normally required item called the Shock Bracelet, sort of a stun ground pound-esque move. And the thing about that move is it actually like busies up the X button, so we couldn't hold the X button. There is an important glitch, really important to Silver's late game, called the Extended Teleport Dash. The Extended Teleport Dash is essentially the same exploit as the Levitation extension. The same move, the Stun Slap, maintains momentum very strangely. So on the final frame of the animation of the Teleport Dash, you can press or hold X, and that allows you to do stuff like... Oh, let me try to get this. Like this. While it is one frame, the thing about it is it's consistent in where it is every time. So with just enough muscle memory, you're able to get it pretty decently. The way I actually do it is a bit different than most. I flick up into the X button after I double tap A. And that pretty much has been embedded to me from 7 years of playing this game. Yes, I do accept sorry as a response. But it's really cool, because Silver then becomes easily the fastest character in the game. Cool, let me try that again, and you can... Ah! That's the really cool one. I like that one, but I didn't get it, whatever. But yeah, it's really fun just to fly around as Silver like this. And another important thing about Sonic 06 that I didn't really mention earlier, the reason why like the AFC allows us to like clip through the end of White Acropolis, is because pretty much if you have the right geometry and the right speed, you can clip through anything. I didn't get pushed by the train this time, which is unfortunate, but that's okay. Yeah, it's once you get the hang of the extended teleport dash, it's really fun to move around. It's really satisfying if you get them in a row as well. Next we have Hedgehog the boss. Shadow's boss is arguably like the most, I would say the most annoying. Probably Iblis 3, which is the final boss, is RNG, but this one's just frustrating. I start off by getting these barrels over here, and then getting these 4 here. And I just throw them as best as I can. That wasn't great. Essentially, you're limited by just how many of these barrels actually hit, the same issues as we've experienced in other ones. So collision detection in this game isn't great, to say the least. So getting this boss done really quickly can be a bit of a pain. Just gonna hold him there and let him go. Not bad. Yeah, so the collision detection in this game's not the best.
Perfect.
The issue with the PS3, I've mentioned people mentioning PS3 using an SSD. The issue is there's no way to install the game anymore. There's no nothing on the PSN store. There's no digital version, and there's no without a hack. There's no feature to like do that on PS3, and that would be a modded console at that point. So. But also just don't... There's also certain glitches that save a lot of time. For instance, that loop launch is 360 exclusive. Mission select glitch, as far as I know, is 360 exclusive, which is the any percent, what the any percent categories use. Also, fun stage, incoming. Aquatic base, really good stage. Oh, I'm just gonna go for it. I was meaning to do an SDT there, but several LEs in a row also works, I guess. So, yeah, that normally is about 4 or 5 minutes. Done in 20 seconds. Really fun stage to do in this run, honestly, Aquatic Base. So, any donations at this time, or is this pretty straightforward?
No, right now we still are lacking some information, so guys, Put in the donations at tiltify.com/@speedrun. Even $1 will help. $3 will pay for an N95 mask for healthcare workers. And remember, 100% of these funds go directly to the COVID response fund, helping to save lives.
But yeah, please make sure to donate. Lots of people are being affected by this right now, obviously, and I think it's just a really important cause. I honestly thank you guys for taking this as a backup run because, I mean, it's a really nice thing to help out in these times. I know lots of people are stressed. Lots of people are at risk, so please stay safe. Make sure you social distance and make sure you wear your mask if you go in public at all. These birds are the most annoying thing. These birds can be like the end of this stage, because we don't have the shock bracelet, we have to just rely on stunning them and then picking them up or throwing objects at them. So most of the time we just hope they kill themselves. And it usually works. But yeah, combat really is stun enemies with big bars while they're vulnerable, throw objects if they're only a one-hit kill, and just use the things around you. That's a pretty textbook example of like what to do for combat. Yeah, but this is on a real Xbox 360. There is a 360 emulator, Xenia or Xenia. I don't actually know how it's pronounced. Which, yeah, I played Xenia for the first time. I played on Xenia for the first time a few weeks back because I didn't have a computer that was decent enough to run it before. And then I was like, okay, let's start Sonic Story. Check my phone, and then it almost like I was like, okay, it's gonna take a while to load up. Checked my phone, 7 seconds later, it loaded up, and I'm like, what? Because that initial load into Sonic Story is normally 28. So, yeah, there is a significant improvement in terms of loads on Xenia. Thing is, Xenia hasn't been fully worked out. There's still some bugs and whatnot that have happened. So, like, it's not really, we still separate on the leaderboards because it's just not, reliable enough. Plus the fact we still use RTA. Makes it, really unfair to anyone running on console, any console. The eventual endgame for 06 is actually to have a loadless timer, which would make certain strats that I'm going to be doing here kind of invalid, because certain strats, as the one we're going to have coming up, hopefully, actually are based upon the fact that you do them to skip load screens. But yeah, I'm going to hover back here. So this is an escort mission, the only other really required mission in Silver's story. You can skip all the others. So, this escort mission, the main thing about Anna is she will run forward if there are no enemies on screen, and she'll also speed up if enemies appear near her. So we're going to scare her right here so that she walks a bit faster. And then we just wait for her to go to the end. Seriously, she just walks to the end and we're done. She doesn't need an escort, she can just go to the end on her own. It's good. All good. Meanwhile, us as Silver, we can just mess around in the out-of-bounds area, which has a bunch of NPCs, because why wouldn't it? And this would be, again, please make sure to donate if you guys can. This is actually a really good time to read donations, since I'm just messing about at this point. This boss ends like... This boss. Ooh, hardest boss in the game. Barrel Captain, all good. Beautiful stuff. Yes, that's good. It's good luck for everyone. Barrel Captain's like a little bit of a good luck sign for me, honestly. Here's Bob McFloaty, floating. Oh yeah, I forgot you actually beat IL World Record White. That's really good. And obviously my favorite set of NPCs. Good ones. And the mission is done. That's actually a good time usually to stretch, or actually I should have drank water, but... Remember when we were competing for White Bounce strat, like? That's something. Hey. Sorry, go on.
Great!
I was just going to remind everyone, so all of the funds here do go directly to the Hackensack Meridian Health Center. Every gift goes to help immediate patient care, as well as supporting their team members and supporting research for COVID-19 treatments. So even $1 can help, though any amount you can give would be absolutely great. Go to tiltify.com/@speedrun to donate. We'd really appreciate it.
Yeah, please make sure to donate. This is a really important cause. I mean, it's good that we've raised 6K so far, but I'm really hoping we can reach the end goal. So here comes the hardest trick in all of Sonic 06. This is known as Trial Skip. And the reason why we do Trial Skip is simply because there are 3 missions here, trials, as we call them, and they take a lot of load screens. And it's quite literally just those load screens that make it longer. So instead of doing all that, we're going to use LEs, as we mentioned earlier, to preserve our bar and our momentum. Like, regain our bar as we preserve our momentum, and allows us to climb up these walls. So the mirror, as we mentioned, like before Dusty Desert, the game didn't check to make sure you completed all the missions to make the mirror active. So the mirror is still active here. And they thought, no, you can't get up here. There's no way you could possibly get up here. Nah, you can still get up here by doing something a bit complex, but... So, the geometry here on the wall is not exactly what it shows. It's a bit different. So you essentially have to, like, memorize the geometry. I'm going up, like, the fastest route possible, but you can still, like, go up most of this wall normally. But yeah, LEs, essentially, I'm holding X as soon as I let go of A. I use a claw grip for that. It's really simple once you get a claw grip, because you can do it from, like, any amount of hovering. It allows you to regain your bar and preserve your speed, so why not do it? This wall is actually quite fun to go up, because you can see it's very, slidey. We're gonna get to the very top corner of this wall, and once we hit that, let's try it, and I'm going to turn around really quickly using the camera. Camera control in this game is actually really good compared to most Sonic games, to be honest. There is a button that recenters the camera behind you. There's really good camera control with the bumpers. And now I have to do this wall is very steep, so I have to do quite a lot of LEs in a row. If I mess up an input, it's potentially forfeit the entire trick. And we'd have to start from the beginning. So once I get enough bar, I'm going to hover up this wall. This wall is at a slight slant, and the only part you can actually push yourself up on is at a slight slant, so you need to be very careful not to go too far left or else you'll fall off. Don't go too far right or else you won't get enough height when you recharge. And it'll take a little bit more time to recover. Like that though, the lag in this game actually can kill you like there, because then it extends your fall. So be wary of that as well. That's like the ultimate missed input, but still, I'm good. Then I'll hover up, lightly tapping as I go, till about here, and then recharge yet again. Again, you need to you need to make sure you're not going, like, slipping and sliding too much. It's really easy to slide. It's taking all the effort in the world to stabilize my control stick right now.
And while we have this wall climb going on, we have a donation from Jaren4 for $5. It says, here's a donation to share my favorite Sonic character, the flying tech-savvy sidekick of Sonic, Tails.
Tech-savvy. Obviously, tech-savvy. Tails is pretty cool. And not in this game, but Tails is pretty cool. Tails can do some weird things in this game, though. But yeah, Tails is a good character, so congrats on choosing a good character. And with that, we've finished Trial Skip. Most people don't go for this in runs, so I'm actually really glad I got a decent time. I was supposed to save before. Never mind. So now we have Kingdom Valley, the beginning of Kingdom Valley in this section. Normally about 3 minutes at best if you do this normally. We're going to do a telelaunch off of a rock, which is a bit more sus than most telelaunches. There's a slightly consistent method, but it's still up to, like, if the game wants to give you the right positioning or not. I'm going to stand roughly here, turn back around, and I'm going to try that again. Let me just get a 1-up down here.
Darn! I should have realized Eggman's scheme.
I'm not throwing it, so when I fail like that, that means I haven't thrown it in time, or I've thrown it too early. If you throw too early when you're trying to do a telelaunch, you'll actually just let go of the object. So let me try this again. I've done that again. Nice, 3 times in a row. Fortunately, the 1-up is right there, so you can just keep on doing this until you get it. Wow, this does not like me today. It's okay.
Darn! I should have realized Eggman's scheme.
Okay, this game is doing really well now. And this is all after all that. You have to get this, like, first try to get a good time. This is not working very well for me today. Let me just see if I can do a different method. Why is it doing this? Okay. I do not want a game over, else I have to do trial skip over again. Okay, I'm just... This is still the fastest way, even if you take, like, ages to do it. So, I'm just keep on going for it. Why? Man. So how's everyone's day going? We're at Rock.
Well, in
the midst of
opposite of this, yes, Wyke donated $20 to say, I still can't believe you did the sign strat first try.
Yeah. That was pretty good. Thank you, Wyke. Unbelievably, a sign is an easier thing to launch off of than a rock. I don't know how this is how that's possible, but you know, I should have practiced this. Oh well. Oh, I almost exited the game. Nice.
Darn it! I should have realized Eggman's scheme.
Let's try that again. Will it return? Did it break? Yeah, it broke. This is going really well, everyone. Don't worry, we only have 2 more stages and a final boss after this, so we should still be underestimated. So the thing is, with telelaunch, you actually need it at a slight angle or else you're going to get pushed back by the ceiling. So that's why this trick is really finicky, because you need it to be at a certain angle in order to actually push above the ceiling.
I should have realized Eggman's scheme.
This is so much fun, everyone. This physics engine is so good. Yeah, continue, sorry.
No issue. We have another donation from Russ179 for $20 with no comment. Thank you so much, and for supporting the COVID Relief Fund and our Sonic Runner here.
Oh, that looked like it almost got it. Let me try something a little different. Let me try something a little different in terms of positioning. Nope, that did not help at all. So yeah, this is a bit rough, but hey, Kingdom Valley can do this sometimes. Especially since I'm playing on a new TV, the inputs are a bit different for me, so... Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. This is the worst Kingdom Valley I've had in ages. We spent more time here than we did on Trial Skip. Hey, we finally got it at least. Finally got it. There we go.
Great. As Nimputs gave us a $10 donation, $10 to help Silver realize Eggman's scheme.
Yeah, the same quote 17 times. The box is not easier though. The box is actually harder. The box doesn't rotate as easily as the rock does, because the rock is at least slightly spherical. The box is really unpredictable in terms of rotation. You really have nowhere else to go with the box if you just mess it up, because you fall off really quickly if you're on the box, whereas the rock actually has a slightly consistent method. I know it didn't seem consistent there. That's because I messed it up, but it's much more easier to get it off of a rock than it is off of the box. Spherical. It's an obelisk, like it's oval shaped, I guess. It's an object-shaped object. I don't know how to explain these things. But yeah, we're actually gonna finish the stage as Sonic. So to all you lovely Sonic fans over there. So Sonic actually has the gems in this file because we've completed his file to the extent that we get these gems. And that means that we can then use them to skip good portions of this stage. It's actually still fastest. Like, the best IL time you could get for this in RTA still uses Silver, but it lags so much that it's not really useful. It's more consistent to finish this stage as Sonic because Sonic's combat is easier. Yeah, the purple gem, so the game was supposed to have the action gauge limit the amount of times you could use the gems. One misspelling in the code. We did figure this out after GDQ. We did make sure that this was it. One misspelling. The game is supposed to write C gauge color, but instead writes C color, and the gauge the function that the gauge is supposed to drain never actually happens because of that one misspelling. So you could use them as much as you'd like.
That was incredible.
So the gem order is set. the gem order is set to be, if I recall correctly, blue, red, green, purple, sky, silver or white, I forget which one it is, and then yellow. That's the order of the gems, always. However, we do have certain saves for certain individual levels that use certain ones. So for instance, a big combination for certain levels is just red, purple. Red slows down time by half IGT. So for ILs, it's the best thing to use in Sonic most of the time. Purple allows you to do those jumps, so you then do like purple jump, switch to red really quickly as you fall, purple, switch back, purple, and the D-pad on the 360 is terrible. It's a really bad D-pad. So like, it's not fun at all, that D-pad. So it's really hard to get that, but that's not useful in an RTA because it just takes too much time. But yeah, this is the final stage of Silver's story, Flame Core. Flame Core is my least favorite stage in Sonic 06. It can be cool if you get everything right, but this stage loves to mess with you in every story. There is like no break in Flame Core. If you play Flame Core, it will find a way to mess you up in some form or another. Like, for instance, but yeah, we buy some and not others. So I actually recently did what is known as the Silver All Medals run, which is effectively the 100% category for Silver's story. I'm gonna boast a little bit here. First run, I actually got world record in it, but that's only because 2 people have ever run it. I actually use this same sort of save setup, but I then go buy the yellow gem. Because the yellow gem of Sonic, like, collects rings, and rings are really useful for score, so for certain stages it's good to have that to get an S ring. By the way, there's a door over there. It's the only door, really, that is consistently, you just can't clip through. So instead of clipping through, we just clip around it. But notice now that they are, Oh, I need to lift up the box. Whoop. Notice now that there are these, like, meteors. These aren't aesthetic. These can actually hurt you, and they're random. So I'm playing it kind of safe just to avoid the meteors. Okay, we actually should be good, but we can still get hit, even here. But we're good. And from here, we're at the final section. I'm going to do something called Kerfuffle. You wonder why it's called that? You'll probably see soon if I can get it. Because there's no better way to describe it than Kerfuffle. So, in Sonic 06, obviously, great physics engine, we love Havoc. Man, Havoc is so good. Effectively, if the box responds, where is it? Oh, of course it's right there. Let's just get it to respawn, please. 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 Okay, so if I if I do 2 teleport dashes, lift up the box after that, and then hold X after. I don't know if I'm too low. I'm gonna go for it. Risk it for the biscuit. I might hit a death plane here. No, I didn't. There we go. So Kerfuffle works because the game at that specific amount of bar like has the perfect setup for the physics with the collision of the ground and the box, such that you just like screw everything up. You could do a tele-launch off of the box, but that's actually less consistent. Gonna pause through here and finish the stage in pretty good time, actually. 3:15. And that's the final stage of Silver's story, but we have one more boss to go, Iblis 3. Iblis 3 is pretty much RNG. But there is a consistent-ish setup for sort of Iblis 3's movement, I suppose. So we measure this boss in terms of its puffs. There's a statement and a half. The puffs are, we call the meteors here puffs, because why wouldn't we? They're Cocoa Puffs. So the puffs themselves, like, each do like one segment of damage, and we just use the terminology, how many puffs do you need? 1, 2... I only got 2 puffs, so I need 4 puffs from luck. So these are the batches. Got 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. I need 2 more from luck in order to get a 220, otherwise this will be a 310. Lots of puffs, but will any of them hit? 6? Okay, yeah, we're good, actually. This is 1 puff away, I think, from a 155, actually. But that's okay. Best that's ever been gotten is a 125. A runner called Otanishi used to have it. He actually got it in a dead run, which is becoming, well, not infamous. It's a beautiful little thing that we always like just go around the stuff, son, and we know we love it. Then I mentioned it at GDQ, and then a week later, DSS, who was kind of inactive from Sonic 06 speedrunning, went back and beat it, breaking a 5-year IL in a week in 3 hours of attempts because DSS is just really good. This is on Xbox 360. So, there is a facepalm here, and then puffs, and then probably God Puff. I don't think we got enough to get a 155. Blaze will always die there, pretty much. Actually, wait. One hit off. Yeah, I was right, 1 hit off. That sucks. But hey, that's what you get. This will still be a really good time, even though I messed... This could have been, like, a minute behind world record had I not messed up Kingdom Valley that bad. Still really good for a marathon, honestly. Okay, time's coming up very soon. There we go. 51-14. That is Silver Story, no mission select glitch, everyone. For everything in this, for Kingdom Valley, this film was really good, honestly. I'm pretty happy with this, especially at 5:30. How did I do this at 5:30 in the morning? This is insane for 5:30 in the morning.
Perfect.
But yeah, that's Sonic 06 Silver Story No Mission Select Glitch. Pretty good run overall, honestly. Any other comments? Any other donations that you might want to read before I head off?
Good run. So just a reminder to everyone, of course, we're accepting donations at tiltify.com/@speedrun. 100% of the funds will go directly to the COVID Response Fund at Hackensack Meridian Health Center. We do have a few donation incentives, such as choosing the Pokemon for Puzzle League, voting for your favorite Super Mario Maker 2 team, voting for your favorite Super Mario 64 team, and voting for the best game franchise. Zelda is currently in the lead, with Sonic trailing at only $70. You can still vote. Even $1 helps. Thank you so much, and thank you, Focus.
No worries. If I may make a few comments before I head off. We are always welcoming new runners to this game. I know this game seems intimidating because it's this game, but we're always welcoming everyone we here to support. If you want to follow me from 06 stuff or other games, go right ahead. Twitch.tv/FocusSight. And most importantly, just make sure to donate. It's really important that we support each other in these hard times. Honestly, the world needs a lot more just cooperation. So please make sure to donate. I'll even donate right now, actually. So thank you again for having me. This was really fun to do. It was not a bad run to boot. So I hope everyone has a lovely day, morning, evening, night, whatever it might be for you. And yeah, thank you, Pace. Thank you, GSA, and I'll see you guys another time.